Welcome to Town of Barnstable's formal site plan review. Today's date is January 4th, 2024. My name is Brian Florence, and I'll be the chair for this meeting. You may have noticed that this meeting is being recorded. It is it's considered not a public hearing per se, but the recording will be available if somebody needs to look at it afterwards. It is being recorded for the public's review. The purpose of site plan review is to ensure that the site plan for a proposed development is in compliance with local, state, and federal regulations before a project is submitted for permitting. To that end, this meeting brings all of the town's regulatory agencies together in one place so that you don't have to go from department to department to try to understand what needs to be done in order to obtain permitting. While we may, as a courtesy, provide insight into regulations that may apply to your project during this process, it should not be construed to be an approval of activities such as historic district regulations, building codes, licensing, etc. The way this process works is we read your case into the record. You, as the applicant, will then have an opportunity to give a brief presentation. From there, I'll ask for staff comment and questions. It'd be helpful if you could mute your microphone until the chair calls on you to speak, and we ask that you state your name before speaking. If you need to share your plans, we've made arrangements for you to do so. If you don't know how to do that, just let us know and somebody will be happy to assist you. Let us know before you do a screen share so that the meeting is not disrupted. Maggie will be taking notes of this proceeding. We'll provide applicants with a letter containing any matters or conditions that need to be addressed, so please don't feel like you have to take notes. And once I get this screen share set, Maggie, would you mind reading our first case into the record?
Good morning. Our first case and only case today is site plan review 23-108 for Potter Avenue Realty LLC, represented by Matt Eddy. The address is 11 Potter Ave, Hyannis, map parcel 308150. The zoning is RB, as well as the AP overlay. The proposal is for the conversion of an existing office building to 5 housing units. This application was heard on 1/2/2024 at informal site plan review.
All right, who'd like to start the presentation?
Good morning. I will kick it off, Brian. For the record, Matthew Eddy, professional engineer with Baxter and I Engineering and Surveying. With me in the meeting here is Charles Villa, who is the project owner, Rick Finuccio, who is the owner's rep, and Tim Sawyer with Catalyst Architects. I don't see Dave Lawler on. Dave is going to be the attorney on this for the ZBA filing. So with that, if I could share my screen, if that's okay.
Please.
Alrighty. So as Maggie just read in, the project before you today is for a change in use for the office space in this existing building to 5 apartment units, multi-unit housing. The lower level of this existing structure has 2 commercial storage bays. Those will remain. We understand that we need to seek a special permit from Zoning Board of Appeals, which, as I just stated, Attorney Dave Lawler will be handling that filing. So with that, I will just walk quickly through the existing site conditions. Again, frontage for the project on Potter Ave. This is the structure location. There is an upper parking lot and a lower parking lot. There is also frontage behind the building on Dumont Drive as well. The properties surrounding the project, we have a commercial office space and some retail space to the north. There's also office and mixed use residential kind of to the northeast. We have residential to the east. Directly to the south is also a multi-unit multifamily housing project, and to the west is a vacant parcel that's owned by the town. Zoning district is RB. Again, the existing building is 2 stories with a basement under, which are the storage units. Existing footprint of the building is approximately 1,744 square feet. The existing parking on the site contains approximately 14 spaces, and the site is connected to public water coming off of, for domestic service coming off of Potter Ave. It also has tied to public sewer and underground electric and datacom services being serviced from the overhead lines along Potter Ave. There also are existing drainage systems. With that, I will jump to the proposed layout. Again, there's not a lot of significant site modifications, if you will. As we stated, it's a conversion of the office space on the first and second floor to 5 apartment units. It consists of 1 studio, 3 one-bedroom, and 1 two-bedroom. There is no change to the footprint of the building. As stated, we'll be seeking a special permit through Zoning Board of Appeals. We believe that's under section 240-94. Brian, we did convey along to Attorney Lawler to reach out to you to coordinate with you on that. I'm not sure if he's done that yet. As far as for the parking lot, there we are actually removing some existing paving here. The existing parking goes all the way out into the layout. We're removing this area here, small impervious area infill here. This gives us 10 spaces on the upper level. For the residential use, we've calculated 9 spaces are required. We then also have 6 spaces I'm showing, but it's actually going to net out to 4 spaces in this lower level. Again, there is the existing storage bays on that lower level, and you can see there's an overhead door here and an overhead door here, so we'll be removing that space and that space for the overhead door access. So that'll net out at 14 parking spaces, which is what the existing count is as well. There's no parking landscape ratio due to the size of the parking lot as required under the zoning ordinance. And for utility modifications, the only modification anticipated is for the proposed fire service to the building. We've had some dialogue with that. I spoke yesterday with Captain Landman regarding the location of, potentially the location of where the fire service line will go. And there's an existing hydrant here at the intersection of Dumont and Main Street. And Tim agreed that that existing hydrant was acceptable for the project. So we'll be coordinating with Hyannis Water as to location of the fire service. Potentially, if we could put it into Potter Ave, if only a 2-inch service is required, that's what we would like to do. But my understanding was there was a moratorium for cutting into Potter Ave, as it's been identified to us by DPW previously. So I think I was just waiting for some follow-up from Matt on that to see if that is the case. With that, I am going to turn it over to Tim Sawyer, and he will walk through the building plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim Sawyer, Catalyst Architects. I will share my screen. That's okay. So what you see currently is the existing floor plans for the building, this being the lower basement level that's accessed off of Dumont Drive that Matt was referring to, with 2 storage bays. Those are intended to remain largely as they are today, unaltered. This is the main level, which grade level access off of Potter Ave, where the upper level parking is, currently an office use. As you see it broken out here, single stair interior up to the 2nd floor, which is largely within the roof with a couple dormers, and is currently additional office space. The exterior existing, again, this elevation faces Potter Ave. This elevation faces Dumont, and you can see the 2 garage bays there, side elevation, which illustrates the grade variation between Potter Ave side and Dumont side, entire level. Moving to the proposed floor plan. Again, the lower level unchanged. The main level off of Potter Ave is completely reconfigured to accommodate 3 residential units at that level, with 2 of the units being accessed off the existing central access lobby, and then the third in this location accessed by a new elevated walkway that gives direct exterior access to that unit. The 2 second floor units that you see here are accessed by the existing stair. All existing windows are egress sized. Our exterior modifications are pretty minimal. We're doing no footprint changes. Some window modifications are simply to allow kitchens on this front elevation, so the 2 flanking central windows are slightly shorter to allow counters under them, and 1 additional window on the back side in a sleeping room. And then this is the side entry door for the 3rd unit on the main level. Through our preliminary code review, we did determine that a fire suppression system would be required where one doesn't exist today. So we're proposing to do a 13R system. And that's the new fire service line that Matt was referencing, either off of DuPont or off of Potter Ave, depending on the size, which we haven't determined the service size yet. And that pretty much wraps up what I have. Unless there are any questions.
We'll be asking questions at the end here. Matt, anything else?
No, I think that does it. Happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Okay, we'll bring it back to staff. Thank you. Maggie, have we received any correspondence on this matter?
I have not, Brian. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Planning and development, please.
Thank you, Brian. Kate Maldonado, Planning and Development. Our comment is consistent with what was presented at informal, in that this proposed use requires relief because it cannot proceed as of right. And we defer to coordination between the land use attorney and building commissioner as to whether this can proceed as a special permit and a change from a non-conforming use to another non-conforming use, or whether a use variance is required. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Engineering.
Matt Roble, DPW Engineering. First, to touch on a comment that Matt had a second ago. I did check in on the status of Potter Avenue. It does look like, due to repaving that happened in spring of 2022, that the roadway is under moratorium at this point in time. I can check the exact specifics on when that's going to be lifted, but I would say that I think it's about 4 years out at this point from this upcoming spring. I think we typically hold a 5-year roadway moratorium. Matt, I also did receive your plan with the markups related to any changes in impervious areas. Based off the balanced math, it looks like you guys are basically doing a net zero change. So I'm completely fine with keeping the same drainage patterns. That aside, the other couple of outstanding comments that I had from informal, including sleeving of the water service line, or the fire protection service line, and also some minor modifications to pavement details, identification for Dumont Avenue, and need for coordination with any tree plantings with the Barnstable tree warden still stand. And then with you guys planning on doing work off of Potter Avenue for the utility installation, Dumont Ave for the utility installation, you won't need to file for a road opening permit for that work, but we would for any saw cuts as part of that change in the entry areas would require a road opening permit for Potter Avenue. Those are my only comments at this time, and I'm happy to work with the applicant offline.
Thank you, Matt. Next up is public health.
Thank you, Brian. David Stan with Health. If this project's approved and they rent out the units, they'll need to register the rentals with the health division, and the dumpster will need to be screened from public view. That's all.
Great, thank you. Hyannis Fire.
Good morning, Brian. Tim Lehman, Hyannis Fire. The only comments I have to add today to this project, just with the building code review that I believe is going to be done, we'll look for verification that a 13R system will be applicable. My only concern is the commercial storage on the lower level, if that will be covered under the 13R requirements, or if they may have to do a full 13 system. Just looking for clarification on that. I don't know if you can give that to me, Tim, or not.
We have not gotten to the point where we can give full clarification in regards to the lower level storage area as of yet, but that would be one of the next steps.
Okay, again, we can address that when permitting comes as your project moves forward. And I did spoke with Matt yesterday, and as far as the fire hydrant, we're fine with that location on Main Street. That's it for me, Brian. Thank you.
Licensing and asset management, please.
Good morning, Brian. Erin Logan from licensing. There are no licensing requirements for this project.
Good morning. Tigers, asset management, no comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And the building division.
Thank you, Brian. Jeff Carter, Building Division. The permit application will be required to fall under construction control. So we'll want to see a registered design professional to be part of the permitting and seeing the project through. Including in the permit application, we're going to want to see the existing building code analysis, code review, to include both the residential and the storage aspects of the project. And that's it for me, Brian.
Thank you. And looking at the tiles here on the screen, I don't think there's any shortage of registered design professionals for this project, so we should be good there.
I agree.
So Matt, I'm a little uncomfortable about moving forward without the water service issue and the ZBA and zoning stuff done. So, particularly water service. So here's what I would like to do. If you're okay with it, I will approve this on the condition that you folks come back for an informal, in case there are any changes that have to take place from what we've seen after the zoning board of appeals hearing. You comfortable with
Yeah,
that?
I mean, so we can move forward with ZBA now, though, correct? Yeah, and then if there's anything that needs to be adjusted, yeah, we'll come back for informal. So
Yeah, I'm gonna have you come back either way.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Maggie, you got that okay?
So condition of another informal, any changes are made at ZBA.
A condition on a return to informal. We want to use the informal process to see if anything changes.
If there was anything, yeah, after
My big
ZBA.
concern, I'll be perfectly frank with you, is that the water service and the 2-inch versus 6-inch and coming across Potter, we know you've got a moratorium. So I just want to make sure we get that squared away. And if I don't hear from Mr. Lawler before you guys get to the zoning board, I'm gonna send a letter to the zoning board asking you guys to come back, because I need to hear from Mr. Lawler. We've got to square that away. We can't send them
Okay.
to the zoning board without that question answered, okay? Whether it's a variance or special. All right, and
Understood.
Kate, you have that as a condition for the zoning board. If we don't hear from Attorney Lawler, we're gonna ask the ZBA to punt it.
Understood.
All right, thank you. All right, with that as our conditions, I would find that this matter is tentatively approved or conditionally approvable. Contingent upon the return of this matter to informal, as well as the zoning issue being squared away prior to the zoning board of appeals appearance. All right. A little bit complicated approval, but there you are. We'll wrap this up as soon as we can.
All right. Thank you very much. Everybody have a good day.
Thank you. You
Take
too.
care. Bye now.
Staff, as always, thank you for your help and your attention to these projects. Can't do this without you. So you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend if I don't hear from you.